So, well, I'm going to introduce you guys. Well, if you don't know me, I'm Shannon, and I own Shebuilt. I started Shebuilt about 3 years ago. Many of you came to this page from the post. You don't have to show your ass to be sexy. That just had its 3rd anniversary. Every year, it's like a big deal for me because that was like such a turning point for my life and a lot of others. But Amanda is from Bemidji, Minnesota. Yes,
Minnesota.
And she is one of our all-star alumni, VIP alumni. So she went through Shebuilt VIP the same time Dimitri did. I'm telling you, that was an epic time in Shebuilt history. You and then with Dimitri, the one dude who is anyways, that was a fun time.
That was.
So she asked me
a lot of chatter.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember the messenger chat during that time? It was like some days I was like, Dimitri, come on. He was just a ball of fire. It was awesome. She asked me if she could interview me, which I already started crying with her this morning because it's just like I told her, I think as a business owner, and I don't know. It means a lot to me that you would care enough to ask me how I'm doing and want to know stuff about me. So thank you.
Well, you have been an inspiration to not only me, but I'm going to say at this point, thousands of other men and women throughout this whole country, and who knows how even farther beyond that. And it's really interesting to me, on a side note, before we begin, how many ways of connectivity there are. I mean, I started because of one of your other coaches, Nikki Rao, and got started with her. And then you've got another person in here who, saw some of that activity and who's she's probably finishing up, or at least at the tail end of her Shebuilt program. Another Nikki, and it just keeps going from there. You never know, whoever's watching this, you never know what direction other people will take depending on what they see your performance as. And I don't mean you have to be on show. What I mean is that there's all sorts of different ways that you can have an impact without even knowing. And that's really exciting.
And one of the cool things about within the community of Shebuilt is that connectivity is almost always come through a place of authenticity, of somebody being really honest about just who they are, where they're going, the struggles they're having. And that's so refreshing especially in social media, to have that authenticity factor, and to know that each person, no matter what you do, where you live, how much money you have, all this other stuff, everybody can have an impact,
Yes.
If you're just willing to be real,
Exactly. So. And I just think it's really, I just want to congratulate you first off. 3 years since that post went viral, that made a huge impact. And I would dare say that kind of started the whole Shebuilt community going. Am I correct?
It did. I mean, it was going a couple months before that, but then it just took off, Yeah. And it's funny that you say around the world, because right now we've got some Canadians, we've had people from the UK. I spoke to somebody from Saudi Arabia in the last 2 weeks. Like, it's just wild. And I'm like, what did she see in some cowgirl from Kansas? It's really cool. It's just, again, we're all connected in some shape or form. So
we definitely are. Now, because Shebuilt has grown so rapidly, really, in the last 3 years, what has surprised you the most about this journey?
Gosh, I guess what surprised me, I read over these questions, but I didn't study them. So what surprised me the most, I guess, is just myself. I think at every challenge that I've faced and every new growth spurt or every new struggle, my ability to forgive myself and move on, my ability to just ask for help when I need it. Another thing that surprised me is like people actually trust me. That's been the most exciting and surprising and rewarding thing for me, is just my own personal development through this whole process, and what I'm capable of doing has surprised me, to keep growing and just keep trusting myself, to keep taking risks, all that. I kind of am shocked by, wow, there's so many possibilities, and I had been just limiting myself for so long.
It's really interesting that you say that, because not only are you the leader of the Shebuilt program, but in a way you are, you're a member as well. You're doing it along with the group, which is really exciting. I personally think. And, I think a lot of people think that it's just a fitness and nutrition program, but it's so much more than that. And how do you feel that evolved it is in the program, or the service really that it is today? Not just fitness, not nutrition, but beyond.
And that's the whole reason I wanted to get out of a gym and into more of this platform, so I could do really what I wanted, because I'd have women coming into the gym, I'd train them, they'd cry, they'd do their weight, they'd be so upset. And I'm sitting there like, come on, there's gotta be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
But fitness and nutrition is a massive part of the way that we live our lives. And it's still a huge part. I know women right now are thinking, oh my God, spring and summer are coming around and I want to be able to wear shorts and tank tops. It's still, an important part of the way we live our life. But when that's the sole focus, it never fills the gap. It never satisfies us. We are never, ever satisfied. So that's still there in a big way. But the sole focus, and this hasn't happened because I've done it, it's because VIPs realize, as they start going through this process, they realize, oh, it's not about what I'm eating in my workouts. It's actually about this other stuff. And all of a sudden we're doing it, but it's sort of over here, and we're focusing more on mindset, relationships, boundaries, self-prioritization, the way we talk to ourselves. That's really the big boulder. And I think people understand that needs to be, I need to work on that. But until you start doing it and that becomes really relevant pretty quick, I think people are surprisised,
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And I get people,
wear the damn suit, just wear the shorts.
I had somebody just recently, she's been she's finished Shebuilt maybe 6 months, and she's like, we went on vacation. It was Bailey Whitehead, because we just had our dairy cow.
Oh,
she owns a dairy farm. And I messaged her, I was like, help me. What do I do? So she was walking me through everything. And goes by Shannon. We went on vacation, and I wore the swimsuit, and I had fun with my kids. And you know what? I looked good too. So, and that just makes me so happy, because yes, we can start making physical transformation, but if you don't change what's going on here, it won't matter, because you'll be at you may have lost 20 pounds and been working out, but you'll be at the swimming pool with your kids or the beach. And if this isn't kind of going like it's supposed to be, you still won't have fun.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So
Exactly right. And it took me a long time. It took me way beyond. I want to point out to everybody who's watching this, if you're not in the Shebuilt program right now, you do need to know that the Shebuilt program extends far more than the time that you're with Shannon as the initial programming. I'm in the Shebuilt VIP alumni group. It's still a support, which is fantastic. And you're still getting the Shebuilt support all the way through as long as you want it, really, when you think about it. And it took me even beyond the initial time that I was with you to really realize that. And I think I messaged you like a month and a half ago, that my husband was like, you look great. And I was like, I finally believe you. Like, it took me that long. Like, really?
Yeah. And
I love how you look. I'm like, what?
It's a patient process. And I think those little light bulb moments happen at different points for different people. And sometimes it's after you complete Shebuilt. And I tell everybody, is the wind too much? Can you hear the wind?
No, it's good. Your hair is blowing very, very,
okay.
Well,
it's
great.
Loud. And it happens all at different times, but that's a very personal thing for each individual. Like, some people say, Shannon, when's my aha moment? I'm like, I don't know. It could be tomorrow. It could be next year. But
you have no idea.
All these little things, these tools we're putting in the backpack, you know when to pull one out. And there might be a certain situation comes up where you're like, I need to flip the script on this, or I need to set a boundary here. And they just start to come to mind, and things start to morph and make sense. I still have those moments all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to, there's no finish line. There's no time where you've arrived.
Exactly.
And the sooner we embrace the fact that we're constantly going to be growing and learning and failing and shifting and all this, the easier it becomes. We don't fight it so much.
Exactly right. Now, I do want to point out, I mean, because of the growth, with growth comes disappointments, setbacks, you know, hard roadblocks along the way. How have you dealt with some of those disappointments, and what's been the hardest thing to overcome, would you say?
Yeah, this is the question I've thought about the most. You know, one area of growth that I've experienced personally is the fact that when something doesn't go as planned, or somebody might call it a failure, I don't see it that way anymore. It's really, truly, for me, it's a learning opportunity. I don't expect myself to be perfect. I'm only 3 years into this. I never had any experience in running a business before this, so I'm just figuring this out as I go. I think the hardest part of that was the moments where you truly feel alone. Like, you know, this is my baby, my vision, and I have the answers for it, and I have to trust myself. And I do ask for help. I've had many coaches, business coaches, that have been incredibly helpful. But again, I had to take everything they said with a grain of salt. So in the last year, I took in all this information from coaches and friends and lots of people. A lot of good information, but I got overwhelmed with the noise. There's too much. And I had to get back to just, at some point, I feel like Shannon has lost the reins a little bit, and I just don't know what direction I'm going. And I had to get back to that place of just me. What's my vision for this? What do I want this to look like? Because if I want this to be something that lasts, I can't burn out. You know,
no,
I
exactly
can't get
right.
to a place where I hate what I do.
Yep.
So I guess the hardest part is just the moments where there's been moments where I've had, I told you this earlier, where I'm like, you know what? Nobody really truly does give a shit. People are out for themselves, and they don't give a damn about how I've had, and I know better, but I think everybody understands what I mean. And that's when I have to check myself and remind myself that, like, you know what? Yes, they do, Shannon. People have their own lives and their own experiences, but it also reinforces the fact that I have to be my own best friend and my best cheerleader, because I don't want to, you know, there are times where that's who you have. And that's what I want other women to know too, without there being a bitter undertone to it. You know, it's real easy to go like, nobody gives a shit, screw you all, whatever, I got this. It's real easy to do that, but we can't. But I have to have confidence in myself that I have everything I need. I know everything that I need to know right now. I can always ask for more help. It's okay, you know? So did that answer your question? That's been the hardest.
That's been the hardest. And I would say that leads, it's like you have to figure out the way that you want to go. And when it gets to be a certain point, you think, well, it's getting to be so big, I need help. But
Right.
then, you know, how do you make sure that you and the help are on the same page, that you're all going around the same path? And like you said, once things get so big, sometimes it's hard to, I don't want to use the word contain, but keep an eye on everything, I guess is the best way I can say.
So
Which,
this time last year, Shebuilt had grown to over 80 people in the program. And I needed help. I needed to bring help in to help me with those things. And what I learned through that experience is that I lost touch with some stuff. You know, I wasn't having all of the conversations and all the, you know, and I distanced myself a little bit on purpose, because I was trying to run a business and not be in it so much. But in that, I kind of lost my purpose because I wasn't in it as much. So now I'm trying to be back in it, and I'm capping. Like in Shebuilt now, we do not go over a certain number. And when somebody graduates, then somebody else can come in, because right now for me, that's what I need to provide the best experience, number one. And for me to really feel like I'm fulfilled, not overwhelmed. So that's what we're doing right now. And that might not be either. So,
well, I have to point out too, you know, I was in that time when you had those coaches, and anybody who's watching this needs to know, those were phenomenal coaches that you had, that team that you had. And if they're watching, I want to give you a huge round of applause, because every single one of you taught me so much personally. And it was such a blessing to have everybody at that time. But on the flip side of it, and this is going to lead me to my next question about balance. At the flip side of it, it gets hard, because I feel like, you're at this point where you feel like you need more personal connection. And it's more of a thing of where you feel like you want to have a little bit more personal connection with each member coming in. And that, which is totally fine. So the balance, if we speak to that, why do you think that is such a struggle for us, not only in Shebuilt, but just generally? Why is, we talk about finding balance, having, pizza rolls, and then, having kale, and, how do we figure this out and make it not to be such a struggle, I would say?
Yeah. Well, when you ask me this, it's like, I picture a scale, we have a scale, and it's always sort of shifting and moving. And then we need to put a little bit more over here, and we need to put a little bit over here. I think the expectation that we're going to have perfect balance at some point is unrealistic. And I think when you know yourself really well, you start to understand your balance. And when okay, Shannon, you're not sleeping, you're reaching for a seltzer at night, you're not, like, we're not in balance here. What do I need to do? And understanding, okay, this is what I kind of need to do with this. Releasing the idea that everyone in VIP needs me every single day of the week, every moment of the day. No, they don't. And for a long time, are they okay? Is everybody okay? Do they have what they need? There was this insecurity in me that didn't need to be there. So for me, setting good boundaries with my time, having things outside of work, because as much as a love of Shebuilt is mine, it is my job. And I have to separate. I have realized that, like, there's this saying where it's my job is what I do, not who I am. But it had absolutely become who I am. And I'd forgotten a little bit about who I am outside of that. So recently, when Jason went to Texas and I started doing all the chores myself, that was a moment for me where I'm like, oh, this is what Shannon enjoys doing. And that gave me, so now I do that every day. I go outside, I make sure I go do the chores. I cuss a lot because the snow and cold and I frozen and all that stuff, but it's been really good for me. So I think balance is difficult because it's constantly shifting. Our life circumstances are constantly changing. Seasons are changing.
Yes.
Our hormones are changing.
Yes.
It never settles. So if you learn yourself really well, which is a lot of what we work on in Shebuilt, when one side's getting a little too heavy, and how to shift the scale just a little bit.
I think that's exactly a great way to point it out, and you're also in sometimes a season of life where you're going to be perhaps a little bit more off kilter than you normally would. And I think like you've pointed out before, you have to know that that's not going to be forever, that, maybe this is consuming you right now because, it has to, there's just no other way about it, but you can't expect to, be able to be everything for everybody all the time. Yeah. And if you know that this is going to be a difficult part right now, it's just for right now, it's not going to always be that way. And you can, like you said, shift back. So I think that's something that I personally learned, was to take that and just realize that you're not going to be in one place always at the same time, and that the balance is going to happen eventually. So,
and that applies to all our habits, to our relationships, to our workouts, to the way we eat, that's always kind of moving and shifting.
Now, you mentioned also that you, in an earlier post, you loathe exercising right now, which I laughed because I thought, oh my gosh, this is how ironic for a fitness. And you're smiling, mentor, to be like, no, but I like this. How do you make yourself, like, because everyone else is like, me too. How do you make yourself get over your reluctance, and what right now is kind of your current exercise routine? And I want to point out too that, and you've said it before, that your current exercise routine doesn't necessarily always mean that you're doing, say, weights or cardio. It can be a variety of different things. So what are you doing right now?
Yeah. Well, and I don't think I never make myself get over the reluctance. I try to navigate what I really need and what I might enjoy and what might feel good. I ask myself that a lot. What might feel good today? And sometimes it's kettlebell, sometimes it's lifting, sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's just going outside and getting chores. Sometimes I don't do anything. For 17 years before Shebuilt, I was a fitness instructor. And there was a point where I was doing anywhere from 3 to 13 high intensity classes every week for like 10, $15 a class. I mean, I was busting and I loved it. I loved it because at that point in my life, I had kids and Jason was a cop and never home. So I took the kids, they went to childcare. I went and taught my class. People loved it. It was great. I was a celebrity instructor,
There goes Shannon.
But then I got massive shin splints and I got, it just, and then after that, with in-person personal training and all that, fitness was my job for a very long time. I got paid for it. There was a time where I said, I am not working out unless somebody is paying me to work out, because that's how I had to prioritize my time. If I was working out on my own and I still had to go teach 13, that doesn't make sense. So there's some psychological stuff going on with with workouts for me. I'm sick of them, and I was always doing my workouts based on what other people needed and enjoyed. I was having fun, but it was always others focused on my class. So I think a big part of that is me just sort of dismantling that kind of thought and navigating what feels good to me. I never quit. I'll go sometimes a month without doing nothing. But for me and my fitness journey, I have to allow myself to do that. Because number one, I trust myself. I know I'm never just going to stop working out for the rest of my life.
Sure.
That won't happen. But I have to be able to do it from a place of healthy desire to really want to, because it makes me feel good, because it makes me feel strong. It helps relieve stress. So lately, up until this week, it's just been, I'll hop on my Peloton. I have a Bowflex downstairs that the people we bought the house from left. So I'll get on the Bowflex a little bit. I'll go for walks. I'll go outside and do chores. And there's some chores out there that, they'll kick your ass. It was really very free. Just whatever I felt like doing, I would do. I gave myself free rein. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had this thought, like, you know what? I wonder what a complete kettlebell program would look like. So I did some research and stuff, and I found one that's 6 weeks. It's all kettlebells. And the last 2 days I've done it, and I love it. It's simple. Yay. It's straightforward. It's video led. So I just watch the person and I do it. So right now that's what I'm doing.
I love the fact that you decided that you're finding things that you love to do. And I think a lot of us feel like we have to do certain things, and we're stuck in that mindset of, I have to do this, I have to do that. And like you said, as long as you're moving your body and you're enjoying yourself, then that's what you should be doing. I love that. Yeah. Are you ever gonna do a Zumba class? We've all been asking.
I don't know. Maybe if we do a Shebuilt reunion, maybe we'll do one there. But I don't think people don't realize the amount of planning and effort it takes to plan a class, to choreograph stuff, to pick music and stuff. It's a lot of work. So I will probably never get into teaching regularly. I know I will never get into teaching regularly again. Maybe when I'm retired, when I'm 50, 55 and I want to go do a little social class, but maybe then. But yeah, not right now. But if we do a Shebuilt reunion, I will probably have a couple shots and teach some sort of class that I just make up in my head.
As a Zumba person, I'm all for that. I love it. And are you thinking about a Shebuilt reunion in the future sometime? Because I know we would all love that.
Yeah, it is in my mind. I've actually talked to Tessa a bit about it. She does event planning, but right now I'm not committing to anything until after Lauren's wedding is done. And I've gotten a couple months of just calm thyself down, And I think you're so right when people put the fitness thing into a box, because with all, I went from step aerobics to boot camps to Zumba to elite boot camps where I was training with these, big, strong dudes, to powerlifting, to Olympic lifting, to CrossFit. I've done it almost all. And through that whole journey, I'm a very well-rounded athlete now. I do just about everything, except yoga, poses like that are, I can't do that. And so at some point in the future, maybe that'll be something I do. But I also have ADD. I mean, if you tell me this is what you have to do, I will say no, do, and I will change it. so I give myself lots of freedom, but that can also be very frustrating and messy, but I get it done. So whatever.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I would also want to ask you, I'm going to touch base on that, go back to kind of circle around, because of all the different things that you have done in these last several years. If you could look at yourself now, 3 years from now that you're 3 years in, 3 years now from, from here, where do you feel you want to see yourself? And that's I know that's just such a, standard question, but what would, when you look back then 3 years from now and look back at where you are right now, what would make you the happiest? What would make you the very happiest in your journey there?
What would make me happiest is to have VIP running as a well-oiled machine. I have everything just like I want it. It's running. I don't have to worry about new adding this or it's a well-oiled machine. We've got people in the program doing that. I also want to have in the future an online course that's at a price point that more people can have access to, that's self-led. Here's your course for how many weeks, and you walk through it. I want that to be something so that we can have a broader reach to more people. But at that point, I honestly don't want Shebuilt to be my focus. I want Morgan Farms to be my focus, and working this program with Jason, and maybe some public speaking. I would freaking love to go places and just talk to women on a stage, like a Facebook Live, but in person as a one-day event. That would light me up.
You should. I have a friend who I went to high school with who that's what she does. She's a public speaker, and she does different things and works for different groups. And there's so many fun ways that you can, do that by starting contacting your local radio station and local TV stations. And, there's lots of different ways. So we'll have to chat. Yeah. But that would be amazing. I love that.
Yeah. And then I really would like for Morgan Farms to take a bigger role and place more important. And that will happen, start coming this year, because he's got some exciting stuff happening. But yeah, that's what I see in another few years.
You've really had really in this, I feel like in the last year, this has been a huge year for not only you personally and Shebuilt, but your family, moving out to this wonderful place. Look at your porch, having the farm. How has your family reacted to, your success with Shebuilt? What's their reaction, and what's their part in it?
Yeah, I think they're proud. I think especially for the girls, for them to sort of see that they're old enough to have seen the dead ass broke years, and to come into mom starting something and then it growing so that's been cool. I think they're proud of that. And now Morgan works for me. She's my right hand man. She does a lot. And that kid, she's got amazing ideas. The other day when I talked about Morgan, I just don't know what to talk about anymore. I feel like I've talked about everything. She says, we'll talk about that. I'm like, okay. And I had this amazing little epiphany. She's very talented. So that's been fun. Brenly is the most, she was the youngest when all this started. So she really got to soak up mom's powerful years. She is a force. I mean, at almost 15, she is a force. And Lauren's the same way. Lauren is incredibly independent. She's incredibly driven. She knows what she wants. So all three of the girls, it's just been fun to kind of see them blossom through that. And then Jason, he left his previous, he left law enforcement, went to go work in the nonprofit space. That wasn't aligned with him. So he left that and he came here and he built this up. He's bored out of his mind in the winter months. So he got a little job with the Miami County Road and Bridge, driving because he's like, Shannon, it's wintertime and I am bored. And I'm like, but who's going to wash my dishes now? That's terrible. So he's out. Yeah, he's out. That's going to be a big growth this year because there's so many things coming with that. But they all help when I need help. Like if I need help, somebody making dinner with, it's basically more, can you guys help manage this so that I can be focused, especially this year where like you said, this year was massive. Lots and lots of shifts happen this year. So that's another thing that like, I want that to settle. I want to get back into a routine. We're here, things are running. We don't need to add anything new. But they're my biggest supporters. Jason, there's anything worth pursuing is worth wanting to quit, right? If you don't want to quit at some point, it doesn't mean enough to you. So there's been moments where I've thought, can I do this? I don't know, can I do all this? And he has never, I don't know, babe, do you want to quit? It's always been, you got it. You've come through this. He know I don't actually want to quit. I'm looking for him to say that. And he knows. So he always, in those moments where I'm struggling and I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm overthinking and stuff, he always kind of just brings me back to, it's fine. No big deal. You've got it. So they're a big support in that way.
It's a lot of progress in a short amount of time, I would say, for not only you personally as a family, but you personally in your marriage, and you as a person, and of course Shebuilt. And everyone has a different definition, I think, of what progress is. What would you say that your definition of progress would be for you? It's a hard one, I know.
Yeah. I think my definition of progress is just settling into some contentment and not always feeling like there's something new to be discovered and embraced and tackled. To know that like Shebuilt is an incredible program. It's an incredible community. And of course, I'm always going to be improving it and making it better and stuff. But I love the way Shebuilt works now. And it's just in a really good, solid place that has a lot of impact on people. I'm able to manage my time in it really easily. I don't have to spend hours and hours a day, doing that stuff. So allowing myself to just be content, enjoy your downtime. There's many days now that Brinley's in school, I'm home completely alone. I know a lot of moms are like, oh my God, I can't wait for that day. But I'm lonely, and I just am like, so not letting myself get into that. How can I use my time? I can be done with all my work stuff by 3 when she gets home. When it's summertime, it's going to be a blast because I'll be in the pool. Yeah, it's going to be great. But it's just letting myself settle down. I am one of those people that is kind of addicted to stress, and I'm always looking for that jolt, that next thing. And so progress for me is going to be just trusting myself, slowing down, being grateful for what we have, and just, I don't always have to be the superhero on the next adventure.
I think the other big thing, as you were talking about that, made me realize that part of the progress of Shebuilt in the last, not only just this last year, but the last several years, has been its ability to be so fluid. When you have new people constantly coming in, and would you agree that, every new group you have coming in kind of has their own flavor, their own tone, perhaps? And the fact that you can adapt and be fluid and work with different personalities and different mindsets, because everyone, from all over the country coming in is, from different stories, and they're all coming together. And I really think I'm going to plug Shebuilt, y'all, for this. You like how I use y'all too? I'm in this one, y'all. Y'all.
How does a Minnesotian, is that what it is? How does a Minnesotan say y'all? I'll have to think about that.
I don't know, but don't you know, I don't know, y'all.
Y'all. That's probably what it is.
Oh my gosh. But I just have to say that the fact that wherever you might be coming into Shebuilt, and you all have your own personal stories and your own personal demons, really, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is not just a, one kind of a fix it all, slap a band-aid on it, make it all better kind of thing. The program really gets inside of you, and no matter what you're doing and where you are in your journey, there are so many things that you can learn for it. And it's not Shannon just saying, here's how you do it, and it's going to be great. It's more of, what do you need to do for yourself to help yourself go from here to there, and where do you want to be? And because everyone's journey is different, and everyone's way of where they want to be is different, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Some people are just like, I want to lose a certain amount of weight. Some people are like, I just want to feel better in my own head. Some people are like, I want to be able to be more comfortable around people, whatever it is. And I think that is what Shebuilt does for people.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people do think that it's like this program where it's all this is the goal. And it's just, I really feel like it's a self-discovery process.
Mm-hmm.
What you think you need at the beginning may not be what you actually need. You may realize, oh, yeah, this is where I really need. So when people ask me like, well, what do we do and how does it work? It's really hard to explain, because it's just like, well, you figure out what you need, and then you start to learn how to give yourself what you need. And
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I guess, but it's tough to, and that's why interviews with people like you, it's so important, because it is just such a unique individual experience. And with each kind of phase of people that come through the program, you've got, I was talking about you and Dimitri. That group was, blowing up the messenger chat and party all the time. And it was all this stuff. And then we kind of transitioned to a more quiet, introverted group. And I was like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Everything's fine. It's just fine. A different dynamic of a group. Yep. So between, I think, me and Janie, we do a good job of kind of reading what this particular group needs. And when I say group, guys, people are constantly coming into the program and graduating out. So it's evergreen. So there's always transitional pieces, which I love, because you have some people that are, nearing a year in the program, and you have some people that are just starting, some people are in the middle. So in that community aspect, you have people of all different phases that can learn from each other. And people that have been here 6 months, a year, grow into leaders within this community, which is a safe place, which equips you to be better leaders outside in your life and in your community. So it's just I think it's a really beautiful process. Yeah.
It is. And I think that part of that too is that, you've given everyone the opportunity to, you don't want to hide, because as you've said before, you want to take part. Some people are a little bit more reticent. They don't say as much, which is totally fine. We just want to encourage people to be, at least participating. We don't want you just hiding in a corner, and we want to hear from you too, because every single one of the Shebuilt members has something to share that other people can learn from. And your story, even though you may just think, well, it's just me, your personal story, ladies and gentlemen out there, is so important for the rest of the group. And Shannon, wouldn't you say that you have learned from, all these members coming in? You personally, I know, have learned different things, and it's also given you tons of material to work on. Maybe all of us have a certain, a problem, and all of a sudden your brain is like, we need to talk about that. This is something we need to do a training on, or we need to address, or how to,
people say that all the time. They're like, yeah, you're reading my mind. Kind of a little bit, because I listen, and people do their weekly check-ins, and I hear what people are saying, and that tells me what I need to be talking about to give people some insight. So now on Mondays, when everybody does their check-in, at the bottom it says, what do you need guidance or direction in this week? And so whatever anybody puts down there, I make a list and I go live in the group and I talk about it, so everybody can hear all the guidance, because they may not have thought about something. So that's also a great place of connection, because if one person's dealing with this, oh my gosh, me too, and so it's endless fuel for me to talk about stuff, because it goes back to that, just we're not all that different,
That's right.
And if we just talk about it openly, there's a human connection that can happen if we just are willing, in a safe place, to be honest and vulnerable, know that we're going to be heard and comforted through it and led. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing to realize that we come from so many different backgrounds, so many different parts of the world, part of the country, but really, when you think about it, we all have a lot of similarities in how we think and how we work, and what's in our hearts, which is important. So
you know who the perfect person for Shebuilt is? The person that is like, I know something needs to change. Like, in my heart of hearts, I am unhappy. I am frustrated. I know something needs to change, but I don't know what, and I don't know how. That is what Shebuilt's for.
Yes, that is it.
You know, is it I need to go to therapy? Is it that I need to lose weight? Is that I, you know, do I need to quit my job? That's what Shebuilt's for, to help you navigate and start to dissect where to start. We give you the tiniest little thing. You take action on it. We learn something. Take action. We learn something. And then that's where that path starts to grow from.
Exactly so. And you know, I think that's a really great way to put it, because some people coming in thinking, well, you know I need to do this and I know I need to do that. And then they have their own ways of thinking that they're going to do it. Well, then just do it. If you don't know what you need, and you, like you said, something's off and you're just not sure where to go from there, and there's something missing, then the Shebuilt program is the perfect thing to do, especially, you know, things come up. When I joined the program, I had just quit my job, my wonderful job of forever and ever and ever and ever. And it was really only through that Shebuilt program, halfway through, I got another job, which I'm in, and I adore it. And that was a tough time for me. It was really, really tough. Yeah. And if I hadn't had Shebuilt to walk me through, you know, how to deal with my own head, and then get me just in a more healthy place, I would have been really in a more difficult time. So I have to say thank you for that.
Yeah. And I think the time frame of Shebuilt, 6 months to a year, that's on purpose, because I know at some point during that program, something's going to happen. You know, you're going to get sick, a kid's going to break a leg, somebody, you know, something's going to happen. And that's a crucial moment, because that's where sustainable lifestyle transformation always falls off the wagon. Like, oh, I quit doing all this stuff. And so learning how to navigate through those kind of shifts and knowing how to realign, how to get, you know, how to give yourself grace, how to push forward, pull back, that's how to make lifestyle habits sustainable, you know. And I think Shebuilt is also a good place for someone like Heather recently. She came in knowing that she'd been at her job for 17 years. She loved her job, but she was kind of stale in it. Morgan's trying to call me. She was just she wanted a new challenge. And I'm not saying that but I think having the support of Shebuilt helped her go through a few interviews, some that were disappointing, eventually landing her in the one where she was meant to be. And sometimes as women, we just need a supportive, safe place to do some of the riskier things. You know, we want to take some risks on ourselves, but I just want to have a little bit of a support, somebody back here saying it's okay. All the time, people are like, I don't know, should I do this? I'm like, hell yeah, you should do it. Why are you waiting? And they're like, oh, okay. And it just do it. Yeah. And then they start to build that self-trust in doing those things with support along the way. It's just cool.
Giving the permission to do what you feel in your heart you should be doing. And maybe sometimes that's just what people need, is just some affirmation of what they already feel is true. So, well, we are going to wrap this up because you're a busy lady. And I have a couple more questions that I want to ask you. Something just a super fun one. What's your favorite beauty must have that you've got right now going on in your beauty arsenal? Oh. I was one of the people, by the way, who said if you said keep it the way it is or cut it, girl, try cutting it. Just for the fun of it.
I know. And I want to, but then I had a friend, because remember I had the hair extension.
Yep.
Part of the reason that I put the hair extensions in was to let my natural hair grow. And so she said, Shannon, just let it. And I said, okay, I'll let it. I need to touch up my roots and I'll get it spruced a little bit. But my hairdresser lady suggested the Revlon brush blow dryer.
We have it and we love it.
It dries your hair super fast. It gives me all that amazing volume. So that's one of my favorite things. I have a perfume. In fact, I put perfume on for you this morning. Can you smell it?
Oh, so
there
good.
You go. Yeah.
What is it?
Guerlain. It's very expensive. I bought like $120 bottle because somebody recommended it. I'd never smelled it before, but that was in one of my like treat yourself moments. So I bought it, and it came with a sample of this other perfume. It's black. And I have a tiny little tester bottle, and I love it. And on my birthday, I think I'm going to order it because it's pricey, but it just makes me feel like a rich bitch. So I put it on and it inspires me.
You need to link it in the bottom so we can all see
I will.
is. Yeah.
And then bag balm for my lips in the wintertime. It's the best.
Yep. Best thing. What's your favorite season of the year?
Spring, summer, and fall. I loathe winter. I hate it. And that when talk about Can you give me 5 minutes? I'm on a Zoom. Can you give me 5 minutes? Thank you. What was I saying?
Oh, favorite season.
Yeah, talking about balance. Winter, it's really easy for me to get into like seasonal effectiveness. It's easy for me to get depressed and down, and it's a hard season. So in this season, I have to sort of down regulate, lower my expectations of myself a little bit, give myself some grace, just kind of keep that chug going, because I know when spring, summer, fall comes, that new surge of energy is going to come. So yeah, spring, summer, and fall, I love. The rest I hate.
Spring, yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is because of the weather and such like that. So I'm on a Zoom. Hi, I'm on an interview now. Oh dear, that's my husband.
All their husbands.
Must be the husband.
So they have a 45-minute lapse where they start to worry.
Where are you at? Where are you going? I'm going to end it up with this. The very best advice that you've been given in your life. What would that be?
In my life. Wow.
In your life, what's the very best advice you've ever made? It can be the most random advice.
Okay, so the one that this actually came from my first business coach, Bree Berner, and this is the first thing that came to mind. This is not super deep, but it's done is better than perfect. And for me, that's always been the thing I come back to when I start to get overwhelmed and like I need it done is better than perfect. That gives me permission to just wrap it up and move on, because you know what? It's likely really great. And with Shebuilt, it's been that way. I started Shebuilt with nothing, and I put something quick together, and then I've constantly been improving and improving and improving. And now look what it is. So if I had waited till it was perfect, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing. I love that you say that, because I hear that from people. You've said that throughout the Shebuilt time that I've been, with done is better than perfect. And you agonize like, well, can I do this? Can I do that? Just do it. Just at least start it. Get some of it at least going. Once you start, that's half the battle. That's where do the damn thing comes from too. It's like done's better than perfect. Just do the damn thing. Just do it, and you'll be surprised at how much better you'll be once you are even a third of the way through. You'll be like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do it. Exactly. Well, it is always a pleasure to be with you. And I'm looking forward to a Shebuilt reunion, because I would love to actually be able to give you a hug and see some of the other fun ladies. And I think it would be just so much fun to do that. And I know that's, in the future, but I just want to say thank you again from a former Shebuilt VIP member, in the alumni group now. And thank you so much for every single thing you do, Shannon. I always say, preach it, Sister Shannon, because you have truths out there that we need to hear. And if you are watching this and you even have an inkling of wonderment of what Shebuilt is about, you need to talk to Shannon. This isn't something that is, we're going to take your money and we're just going to fix you. Everything is going to be just the way it needs to be, and we're going to get everything all, band-aided up. It's a self journey. It really is. It's going to help your heart. It's going to help what's in your mindset, and it's going to help your body. It's the total package. And the wonderful thing too is you're going to meet all these wonderful people from all around the country, and that in itself is a fantastic opportunity to build this community. It's a true community. Yeah, they say you're like the 5 people you hang out with the most. So imagine being in a room of 30 of these women who are working towards the same goals and have the same kind of like that. That's impactful. And I'm going to link the group, because the free group, guys, if you want to explore a little bit more, lots of information in there, lots of different lives and educational stuff. And that's a good place to get started. It really is. And there's a lot of testimonials too that Shannon has, interviews. I've interviewed, this is our 3rd interview, I think. Maybe 4th. Not sure. Always so fun. It's always so fun. We'll do some more. There's so much there, and there's so much excitement to be had. And Shannon has so many good things that you need to learn. And I'm still going to tell you, I'm still scared of you a little bit. So I always used to say that, and I still am. There's a healthy respect that I have, which is, a good thing. Well, and when we can hug, then that'll all go away. Yeah. Maybe. And then I'll make you do a workout, then it'll all come back. Funny. I love you, Amanda. Stay warm. And thank you. Oh, I will. I have to show everybody what my yeah, look at that, y'all.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
That's Minnesota.
We live in Minnesota because there's no poisonous snakes. That's why we live in the cold.
That's true.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today.
You're very, very welcome. And again, thank you again for everything that you do, Shannon. And it is very much appreciated. You may or may not feel it all 100% of the time, but just know that we are all so glad that you are our fearless leader and just very grateful for the community that you have built.
It's truly my life's joy. It truly is. So, all right, I have to pee really bad because I've been drinking water while we're here.
I gotta go get Bella to dance. So.
Bye, Amanda. Thank you.
Bye, Shannon. You're welcome. Thank you.